What if I told you that the greatest truth about who you are has been hidden from you your entire life? What if the concept of being a sinner in need of salvation is the biggest deception in history? And what if you are not just a creation, but the Creator themselves? Hello, everyone. Today, we are starting a conversation that might change the way you see everything. We are going to dive into the ideas of a very bold philosophy, one that claims humanity is living in a dream, trapped in a mental prison of its own making. This teaching says there's a way not just to wake up, but to reclaim your true power. A power we've been forbidden from even thinking about. It all starts with one simple, yet shocking idea. But before we get to that, let's figure out what prison we are actually in. To understand freedom, you must first recognize your enslavement. The author of the philosophy we are exploring puts it this way: only a person who has been a slave can fully understand and feel what freedom is. And he isn't talking about physical chains. He's talking about mental slavery. A life lived by someone else's rules, what to do, how to think, whom to love, and whom to hate. In his view, even a prisoner in a jail cell can be more morally free because their mind is their own. But the most terrible slavery is the religious kind, which a person enters into voluntarily. They are skillfully convinced that they will become the freest of all if only they obey everything. It's a mental cage where we don't even try to spread our wings because we are convinced we don't have any. But what if that's a lie? To understand how we got here, the author suggests looking at the world through a hierarchy of intellect. Not intelligence in the usual sense, but the ability to perceive and react to the world. Level 1, the lowest, is minerals. Rocks. They aren't alive, but they react to the world. They contract in the cold and expand in the heat. That is their level of intellect. Level 2 is plants. They are much more active. They get energy from the sun, they grow, they reproduce. But they are completely subordinate to their genetic programming. They have no self-awareness. Level 3 is animals. They have hearing, sight, smell. They are aware of their environment and themselves within it. But they are still governed by instinct. And the fourth level is the human. A human not only perceives the world, but can control their instincts with reason. And this is where the trap lies. By possessing reason, humans become vulnerable to mental viruses, to manipulation of their consciousness. This is what makes the gilded cage we live in possible. But what truly separates us from animals? Is it just reason? And now, for the forbidden idea. This teaching claims that the main difference isn't our minds. It's something much deeper. Let's go back to that famous phrase, God created man in his own image and likeness. The author urges us to dig deeper, to look at the original language of the Bible. In the text of Genesis, God is called Elohim. When you break down this word, something astonishing is revealed. El means power or force. The ending im is a plural suffix. So powers. And the letter He in the middle, in Hebrew tradition, points to divine unity. So, Elohim isn't a name, but a concept, a multitude of forces in divine unity. But the most important part happens next. When God creates animals, the Bible uses the word nephesh, which translates to a living soul or a living creature. But when God creates man, something unique happens. And the Lord God formed man of the dust of the ground, and breathed into his nostrils the breath of life. This breath of life in Hebrew is Neshama. This is a completely different word. The author interprets it this way: Nephesh is the life force that all creatures have. But Neshama is what God breathed only into man. It is his own breath, his spirit, a particle or a spark of the Creator himself. That is what image and likeness truly means. You are the carrier of a divine spark. This is why, as the book of Job says, when God laid the foundations of the earth, all the sons of God shouted for joy. These sons of God were our souls, rejoicing because they knew this world, this playground, was being created for them to have their unique experience. But if we are gods, why don't we remember this? And why is this knowledge hidden? This philosophy gives two answers. The first is that this is the design of the game. To come into this world knowing the entire script would simply be uninteresting. It's like watching a movie when you already know the ending. The whole point is lost. So, we arrive with a clean slate to live our experience authentically. The second answer is control. Those who wish to control the masses do not want creators. They want obedient sheep. And for this, an entire system of manipulation was created. Let's look at the story of Adam and Eve from this angle. The serpent didn't entirely deceive them. He said they would become like gods, knowing good and evil. And what does God himself say afterward? And the Lord God said, "Behold, the man has become like one of us, to know good and evil." God confirms their new status. They have gained free will, the primary attribute of a creator. And what about Satan, the serpent? In the book of Job, he appears before God with the other sons of God and reports on his work. He is not God's enemy, but rather his servant, carrying out a specific, albeit unpleasant, role in this universal theater. It turns out that the entire concept of a cosmic war between good and evil is a laser interpretation designed to keep people in fear and submission. The true picture of the world is far more complex and far more just to humanity. So, let's recap. According to the teaching we began to explore today, you are not a fallen sinner, not a speck of dust in the whirlwind of history. You are a divine being, a creator, who voluntarily came into this world to have a unique experience unavailable in the spiritual realms. You came here to feel, to love, to suffer, to rejoice, to create. The fullness of life, that is your purpose. And the knowledge of your true nature has been hidden by those who wanted to strip you of your power and make you play by their rules. Of course, this all sounds like fantasy. But what if this fantasy has clear rules and laws? What if our reality is a giant mirror that can be made to work for you? And what is the biggest secret that religions use to control this mirror for their own ends? That is exactly what we will discuss in the next video, where we will uncover the most terrifying secret of religion, and you will understand why the world around you is exactly the way it is. Subscribe to the channel and hit the notification bell so you don't miss what's next. And for now, the main question for you is, write in the comments, what did you feel when you first heard this idea? Resistance, curiosity, or maybe a sense of recognition? I am very interested to read your thoughts. Thanks for watching. And remember, maybe it's time to wake up.